about audit. So this is once you have a city contract, you know, what are some of the frequently asked questions about audits? But we wanted to add to that a little bit in case some of you may not have city contracts. Actually, can I get a show of hands who has a current city contract in the room? Okay, great, so most of the room, and a couple of people don't. Raise your hand just so I can see. Okay, so this is if you, prospectively, if you get a city contract, some of the things to expect. But every nonprofit, if you have more than $250,000 in annual revenue, or if you hold assets worth more than $250,000, by state law has to have an independent annual audit, right? So most of us get an annual audit where we, you know, we the nonprofit, we hire the auditor to come in and audit our books and records, our financial records. And so I wanted to add a component of talking about an audit where we also talk about that independent annual audit and hear from an auditor who goes out and helps nonprofits prepare for their audits, about some of the best practices that you can do to make sure that you are getting the most value from your auditor. As we know, audit prices have gone up since there have been additional regulations added to that. So this is a service you're paying for, and I wanted to kind of give, you know, make sure you had some of those tips about how to maximize the value of that money that you're spending to get your financial statements audited. So, and then we're going to talk about specifically city audits and what are some of the different types of audits, reviews, desk audits, some of the things that you might hear about from your city contracting partners. And then finally, I'll wrap up just by talking about some of the follow-up that might follow an audit if there are findings, corrective action plans, and some other kinds of reviews that city agencies might do. So that's kind of a brief agenda for the day. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ethan Kahn. He is here with us, again, very excited from MBAF ERE. They were a new joint merger of two audit firms. So I know him from ERE, but he's now MBAF ERE. It's a very large audit firm that has a specific nonprofit practice. And he's here to talk about this independent audit and give you some of those tips and tricks and tools and things to think about when you're hiring an auditor and when you're engaging with your auditor about how to get the most value from their work. So Ethan, thank you.
Thank you everybody for coming today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a real privilege to be able to present to you an auditor's perspective of what an audit would be, how to make your life easier in dealing with an audit and the auditors. Now, I believe in value add. As Jenny just said to us, you want to get the biggest bang for your buck. The expense of the consultants for the auditors is pretty difficult. Not always is it reimbursable on all government contracts. And my goal today is to help you bring out the value add of the auditors as opposed to just the commodity of an audit. Some of the examples of a value add would be training, where if the organization is well prepared for the audit, and we'll discuss throughout the slides how and what the organization could do to be very well prepared. You would actually use some of the time of your auditor to train the staff. So if there's an issue, an area that the staff is not comfortable with, or there's a new transaction that happened in the organization, speak to your auditors, call them. And you know, speaking as an auditor, I love it when my clients call. They call me during the year and say, Ethan, we bought a new building. We're going to a new site. We've got a new program. We're closing the program. Budget cuts. What do I do? And the reason why an auditor appreciates that is because they'd rather discuss this with you during the year while it's happening. They'd rather vet out all the issues rather than have it during the audit. They'd rather have a clean, squeaky audit. Trends and benchmarks. Because you know, people in public accounting are exposed to so many organizations, so many funding sources, you really have the opportunity to see what's out there. And very often a client will call me and say, Ethan, I don't know if you've ever heard about this before, but we're doing X, Y, and Z. What do you think I should do? And I very frequently could tell them, I said, you know, I just had another organization that was just in your position. They jumped from a $1 million to a $9 million because they went through a merger. The other one had to close the program. The other one had to get a new site. And it's valuable. It's valuable time that you could use of your auditors just to call and tap into their experience and background. And finally, in strategic planning. The auditor very often has an idea of where you want to get to. And because he knows where you want to get to, he can help you get there sometimes in a more efficient manner. Sometimes they're more aware of what the funding source is looking for, what are they not looking for, what are disallowed items, what to be aware of, and the pitfalls.